Happy Thursday! Can you work out where I am today? I think this is the hardest one. I think you'll only know it if you've been in it. So, another chapter now from My Naughty Little Sister. The Very Old Birthday Party. Long ago, when my sister was a naughty little girl, we had a very old great auntie who lived in a big house with lots of other very old ladies and gentlemen. Our mother used to go and visit this old auntie sometimes, and she used to tell us all about her. Then, one day our mother said, "How would you like to come with me to visit dear old auntie?" Our mother said, "She's going to have a birthday party next week, and I think it would be very nice if you little girls could come to it. You see, it is a very special party, because old auntie will be 100 years old." 100 years! That is very, very old. You ask some big person to tell you how old that means. I don't think you need to do that, I think you know. Well, I knew how old 100 years was, so I said, "Good gracious, what an old lady." My sister didn't know how old it was then because she was so little, but she said "good gracious" too, because I had. "She's a very sweet little old lady," our mother told us. "Everyone likes her. The lady who looks after all the old ladies and gentlemen says the dear old auntie is the pride of the home." Wasn't that a nice thing for our old auntie to be, the pride of the home? We thought it was anyway, and we were very pleased to think that we were going to visit such a dear old lady on her 100th birthday. Well now, when the birthday came, we were both very excited. We wore our best Sunday dresses and looked very smart girls. Our mother had told us that we might take some money from our money boxes to buy a present for our dear old auntie in the Woolworths shop. Our mother let us choose our own presents too. I bought our dear old auntie a nice little white handkerchief with blue flowers on the corner. It took me a long time to think what to buy. But my little sister didn't think at all. She knew just what she wanted. She said, "I'm going to buy one of those glassy-looking things with little houses inside that make it snow when you shake them." My little sister had been to the Woolworths shop with Mrs. Coco, so she knew all about those glassy things. Do you know about them? They are very pretty. I've got one up in the classroom. I thought it was a silly thing to give to such a very old lady, but my naughty little sister said, "It isn't silly. I would like one of those glassy things for my birthday." And she said she wouldn't buy anything else, so our mother took her along to the toy counter and let her pay for one of those glassy things with her own money. So when we went to visit the birthday old lady, we had some nice presents for her. I had the handkerchief and my sister had the glassy thing with the snow inside it, and my mother had a box of sweeties from my father and a nice woolen shawl that Mrs. Coco Jones had kindly knitted from some wool that Mother had bought. Wasn't she a lucky old lady? My sister and I had never been to an old people's home before, so we were very quiet and staring when we got there. There were so many old people. Dear old ladies and dear old gentlemen, all with white hair and smiling faces, and they all talked to us and waved to us and shook hands with us in a very friendly way. And we smiled too. My sister smiled and smiled. The lady who looked after the old people was called Miss Simmons, and she was very kind. "We are all very glad to see such young people," she said to my sister. "Do you know, I don't think we've ever had anyone quite as young as you before." My sister was very pleased to think that she was the first very young visitor, and she did something that she sometimes did to Mr. and Mrs. Coco Jones. She blew kisses. Mwah, mwah. She was being nice. Our dear old great auntie was sitting by the fire in a big chair, and when Miss Simmons took us over to meet her, she was very pleased to see us. What a very little old wrinkly pretty lady our old auntie was. She had a tiny soft voice and twinkly little eyes, and she took a great fancy to my naughty sister at once. She asked her to sit next to her. Wasn't that a nice thing for my sister to be asked to do? I think if it had been my sister, I might have been a bit jealous. The old auntie was very pleased with her with her presents. She put the shawl on straight away, and she put my handkerchief into her sleeve straight away too. But when she saw what my sister had brought, she clapped her hands together in a funny old lady way, and she said, "Well, well, well, what a lovely treat! I haven't seen one of these since I was a little girl. I saw one in another little girl's house, and I always wanted one. Now I've got one at last." and the dear old lady shook up the glassy thing and made the snow fall onto the little house. And then she shook it again and made the snow fall again. She did it so many times that we knew how very pleased she was. "Just fancy," she said. "I wanted one when I was a little girl like you, and I've got one today on my 100th birthday." Miss Simmons said, "I see you have a box of sweeties too, but I don't think you had better eat them yet. We have a birthday cake with 100 candles for you to cut, and a very nice birthday tea. It would be a pity to eat sweeties and spoil your appetite." Now, my sister had heard Mother say that sort of thing to her, but she was surprised to think that people had to say such things to old ladies, and she stared rather hard at dear old auntie. And what do you think? When kind Miss Simmons went off to see about the birthday tea, old auntie opened her box of sweeties and gave one to me and one to my sister, and then she ate one herself. And she laughed and my sister laughed. When Miss Simmons came back and saw what old auntie had done, she shook her finger at her. "You are a very naughty old lady," Miss Simmons said. Then Miss Simmons looked at the 100-years-old lady and my bad little sister, both laughing together, and she said, "Goodness me, you can see you are relations. You both look alike." And you know, when I looked, and Mother looked, at the naughty old lady and my naughty little sister, we saw that they did. That they've got that same kind of look on their face, don't they? They're going to be up to no good. And they say that though, so when you get older, sometimes you become more childlike. So I wonder if my naughty little sister grew up to be not so naughty and then got naughtier again as she got older. I hope you have a good weekend. Tomorrow is VE Day. If you're not sure what that is, have a look. I think it will link to what we've learned in history. And I will speak to you again soon. Bye-bye.